What does it feel like to be erased from someone's life just days before their biggest moment? I learned the answer the hard way, standing in my apartment, staring at a cream-colored envelope that once held a wedding invitation but now carried a sting I'd never forget. My name was Emily Harper, and I was no longer welcome at my best friend's wedding. Lila and I had been inseparable since college, our bond forged through late-night study sessions, shared dreams, and the kind of laughter that makes your sides ache. She was the sister I never had, the one who knew my quirks, how I'd hum off-key to calm my nerves or hoard half-empty coffee mugs on my desk. When she got engaged to Mark, I was over the moon, helping her pick out venues, tasting cakes, and even designing her save-the-dates. I wasn't just a guest, I was her maid of honor. Or so I thought. The invitation arrived 6 months ago, embossed with gold lettering, a promise of joy. I'd spent weeks planning her bachelorette party, pouring my heart into every detail. I'd also spent $6,500 on their wedding gift, a custom piece of art, a vibrant oil painting of the vineyard where Mark proposed, commissioned from a local artist Lila admired. It was extravagant, yes, but Lila deserved it. Or so I believed. Then, 3 days before the wedding, a text came. Not a call, not a face-to-face conversation, but a cold, curt message from Lila. Emily, I'm so sorry, but we had to make some last-minute changes. You're uninvited. It's complicated. Please understand. My heart stopped. Uninvited? From the wedding I'd helped plan? I read the text again, waiting for it to make sense, but it only grew heavier, like a stone sinking in my chest. No explanation, no apology beyond those empty words. I called her, but it went to voicemail. I texted back, my fingers trembling, Lila, what happened? Talk to me. Silence. The next day, I sat on my couch, staring at the painting propped against the wall. Its colors mocked me now, vivid greens and purples that once symbolized love now felt like a betrayal. I thought of the hours I'd spent coordinating with the artist, the money I'd saved for months to afford it. And then, a quiet anger stirred. If I wasn't welcome at their wedding, why should they have my gift? I called the artist, my voice steady despite the ache in my throat. Can you take it back? Refund it? She hesitated but agreed, promising to resell it. By the end of the day, the painting was gone, and $6,500 was back in my account. It felt like reclaiming a piece of myself. But the story didn't end there. That night, my phone buzzed with a new message from Lila. I braced myself, hoping for an explanation, maybe even an apology. Instead, I got this: how dare you take back the painting? That was our gift. You're so selfish, Emily. I can't believe you'd do this. My jaw dropped. Selfish? After everything I'd done? After being cast aside without a word? I stared at the screen, the words blurring through tears. How had it come to this? The next morning, I drove to a coffee shop to clear my head, still reeling from Lila's text. That's when I ran into Sarah, a mutual friend from college who'd also been invited to the wedding. She looked surprised to see me, her eyes flickering with something like guilt. Emily, I didn't expect to see you here, she stammered. I forced a smile, but my curiosity got the better of me. Sarah, do you know why I was uninvited? Her face paled, and after a long pause, she sighed. It's Mark's ex, Jenna. She's back in town, and Lila didn't want any drama. Mark insisted you not be there because, well, you two dated briefly in college. The revelation hit me like a punch. Mark and I had gone on 3 dates years ago, long before he met Lila. It was nothing, a fleeting moment we'd both laughed off. But now, it was the reason I'd been erased? Sarah continued, her voice low. Jenna's been stirring things up, and Mark didn't want her to feel uncomfortable. Lila didn't know how to tell you. I nodded, numb, as the pieces fell into place. Lila had chosen Mark's ex over me, her best friend, without even a conversation. I went home and sat in silence, replaying our friendship. The memories felt tainted now, but I couldn't shake the hurt. I typed out a response to Lila's text, then deleted it. What was there to say? She'd made her choice. Instead, I decided to move forward. I donated half the refunded money to a local art program for kids, a cause Lila and I had once volunteered for together. It felt right, like a way to heal the wound she'd left. Weeks later, Sarah sent me a photo from the wedding. Lila looked radiant, but the image stung. Then, unexpectedly, a new figure entered the story, Mrs. Carter, the artist who'd painted the vineyard piece. She called me out of the blue, her voice warm and conspiratorial. Emily, I sold the painting to a gallery in town. They loved it, and I mentioned your story, how you poured your heart into it. They want to feature you in their next exhibit, to share your perspective on art and loss. I was floored. Me, in an art exhibit? Mrs. Carter continued, you've got a story to tell, and it's bigger than that wedding. The exhibit was a turning point. I stood in a small gallery, surrounded by strangers who listened as I spoke about the painting, about love and betrayal, about choosing to reclaim my worth. I didn't mention Lila's name, but I didn't need to. The story wasn't about her, Anna Maria, it was about me. I felt a weight lift, replaced by a quiet strength I hadn't known I had. Months later, I got another text from Lila. This time, it was softer, almost pleading, Emily, I'm so sorry. I was wrong. Can we talk? I stared at the words, my heart caught between anger and nostalgia. Part of me wanted to forgive her, to rebuild what we'd lost. But another part, the part that had stood in that gallery, that had turned pain into purpose, knew I didn't need her validation anymore. I didn't respond. Instead, I signed up for an art class, something I'd always wanted to try but never had the courage for. As I dipped my brush into paint, I thought about the $6,500, the painting, the wedding I'd never attend. It wasn't about the money or the gift. It was about what I'd learned, that my worth wasn't tied to someone else's choices, that I could take back more than a painting, I could take back myself. In the end, Lila's text was just words on a screen, a flicker of a past I'd outgrown. I'd been uninvited from her wedding, but I'd invited myself to something better, a life where I defined my own value, where I painted my own story, stroke by stroke.